voice I can do now. But I'm going to take everybody to the next level as it relates to cloud system, which is, or as I mentioned before, our flagship on-premise cloud offering. But before I do that, let me give you another perspective as it relates to cloud. So businesses see a tremendous value in moving to the cloud. They see increased innovation, the ability to enhance business processes. They see the means to lower costs. Tremendous value. Everybody hears about the urban legends of businesses going off and either using a credit card to go procure services at the cloud, or skunk work IT efforts using a credit card to go to Amazon and go spin up a development environment in minutes as opposed to months to be able to put that environment in place. All true, actually, not an urban legend. The IT organizations see the value as well, but based on history, based on their job, based on the guidelines that IT has put in place inside their own company, the IT leaders see issues. And what you see up here are 4 of the main issues based on our survey of customers, including, hey, integrating all these cloud services with my traditional environment, that's going to be tough. Is it going to get complex? What about security? I hear this cloud thing is inherently insecure. What about performance and availability? Am I going to have the same service level agreements that I have with my traditional IT environment? Am I get the same thing with cloud? Is the performance going to be the same now, given that it's much more of a distributed environment? The data center with those cloud services could be in Singapore while I'm accessing them from Manchester in the UK. But interestingly enough, the number one CIO issue today, in many cases, in different surveys that come out differently, is vendor lock-in. Am I going to get trapped by a vendor and not have the flexibility to choose and move workloads or rejigger my environment because I'm locked in? I propose to you that we are in chapter 0 of the cloud book. We haven't even moved to chapter 1 yet. And in chapter 0, customers want to have choice and flexibility. You see, that's why vendor lock-in is actually bubbled to the top. Every customer is inherently different. They'll find themselves at different levels of maturity on a spectrum. And Michael was up here and actually showed a very similar slide. Customers will find themselves, in many cases, on the far left-hand side, still trying to figure out how to standardize their environment in order to be able to move workloads in a very easy way. Consolidate that environment to create a much smaller, cheaper footprint, less power, less cooling. Then figuring out, how do I virtualize that environment to create a lot more efficiency of that consolidated footprint? And then figure out how to automate all this infrastructure to massively reduce manual tasks. Eliminate error, reduce cost. Only at that point are you really ready for the paradigm shift to move to the cloud, where you start with self-provisioning, a basic tenet of the cloud. Self-provisioning of non-mission critical workloads. The first step to the cloud in many cases, in about 60 to 70% of the cases, is non-mission critical workloads, and it's in particular one particular use case. And what would that be? development and test. A lot of companies, particularly the IT department, will now make the first step to the cloud. They'll deploy a dev test environment based on cloud technology. They'll get the IT organization comfortable, they'll be using it, they'll have a very quick return on investment, and they'll prove to the CFO that everything looks good. This is something we should invest in and expand to more business-oriented workloads, not mission-critical, and then move to mission-critical workloads, and then ultimately move externally, either to burst, and you heard that this morning, to go out and grab incremental resources to manage the unpredictability or volatility of certain workloads, not having to pay for peak workload support in your on-premise environment, but going externally to grab it only when you need it and pay for it only when you need it. Going out and aggregating services. I can go out and grab a whole bunch of web services out there that I need and don't need to have on-premise. And finally, maybe create a community cloud. So I tie together my partners or my supply chain collaborative elements into a much tighter relationship based on cloud. So customers will move somewhat like this. Not everybody will move the same, and it will be based on maturity as well as business requirements as they move forward. So, if I ask everybody in this room how you define a cloud, and we haven't even talked about that today, interestingly enough, probably get about 110 different answers. We can all go out and we can look at the definitions by a Forrester, an IDC, or a Gartner, and they'll be generally the same. Self-service provisioning, service catalog, shared pool of resources, chargeback, metering, showback, based on internet technology, etc., etc., etc. From an HP perspective, we think the cloud should deliver a whole lot more. And I mentioned some of that this morning, including your cloud should be capable of supporting all sorts of deployment models. Private, hybrid. If you're a public service provider, you want the same infrastructure to deliver to a marketplace cloud services. Your cloud should provide you with the ability to unify your service delivery, meaning you're sitting from a customer perspective and you can see all of your cloud services. Those on site because of certain policies and objectives, but also all of those that are off-premise in the public cloud. So for instance, if I'm sitting managing a cloud environment at name your company, I should see all of my on-premise ERP systems, my mission-critical business applications, and by the way, I should be able to see my subscriptions and my services to Salesforce.com, Office 365, and everything that's actually managed off-site as well. It should be unified. I shouldn't have to manage it in a swivel chair manner with different consoles and different systems. Choice and flexibility, Chapter 0. Diverse workloads. Your cloud should support not one hypervisor, but multiple hypervisors. Not one OS, but multiple operating systems. Not a select set of applications, but a diverse set of applications. Your cloud is not an appliance. It should not be constrained. It should support all of your business, irregardless of what geography, department, or organization. You go out and you look at comparable offerings, or I'll call what they would say competitive offerings, and you see everybody saying, hey, look, I can spin up a virtual machine and I can manage it, I can look at the performance, I can monitor it, I can look at SLAs. That's not a cloud. You should be able to look and automate and manage the entire life cycle from a services perspective. The provisioning of the application and the infrastructure, the monitoring, the patching, the compliance, and ultimately the retirement of the application and the related underlying infrastructure. All automated. Should be scalable. Start small, grow tall. Are you still with me? Should be secure. Once again, from the time you're developing an application to when you retire it, And you can pull this all together into an integrated system. Because what happens today is that when you go out and you look at comparable offerings, they're given to you in pieces. And what's that going to do? So you remember, we talked about data center fragmentation today. My true belief, Hewlett Packard's true belief is, unless customers adopt an integrated approach that remains open, we will perpetuate the data center sprawl problem, the 70-30 problem that I talked about this morning. What you will get going forward is cloud sprawl. Customers will be no better off down the road than they are today. Actually, the problem will become magnitudes worse unless they adopt an integrated approach. Once again, that's open, that understands that customers have existing infrastructure, and you should be able to leverage that infrastructure as you move to the cloud. So lo and behold, once again, cloud system, an integrated offering that addresses all of those basic as well as what we believe to be mandatory cloud requirements. It is built on our converged infrastructure, server, storage, and networking. It includes our market-leading automation and orchestration software that manages the entire services lifecycle. It is also, it's an integrated offering, it's a thing, but it's also open. So, in the spirit of that, if a customer has IBM or Dell platforms in their environment, might have Cisco networking, might have, and I hate to say it, may have some EMC storage in there, cloud system will manage that environment for them. So you have a manager of managers, and we actually help customers leverage that existing infrastructure, minimize their risk, and lower their cost. I propose that you go out and you look at any comparable offering out there, and it will not compare to what HP is bringing to market today, based on proven market-leading technology. A lot of customers are looking to a lot of different vendors that are claiming, hey, we're getting into the cloud game. Hewlett Packard is already in the cloud game. We've been here for a while, and we have market-leading technology that's already established and helping our customers with cloud data center. When a customer wants to consume cloud system, we make it very easy for them there. Depending on where they are in the maturity curve and the requirements, you can start with Cloud System Matrix, and you saw that in the other room. This is for customers that are just getting started. Private cloud, infrastructure as a service, maybe some basic application provisioning and monitoring. If a customer, and I like to say, wants to put on the big boy pants and move up to hybrid cloud computing, full intelligent automation and provisioning, wants more customization, wants to burst to external service providers, wants to support not only infrastructure as a service, but platform and software as a service, we have Cloud System Enterprise. And then, and this is all additive, if you are a service provider and you are looking to deliver services to a marketplace, not an entity, we have Cloud System Service Provider. And that adds on top of the enterprise technology that allows a service provider to manage not only their own services, but third-party services as well. Price them, bundle them, settle revenue agreements with partners, allow their partners to white label and create their own consumer-friendly portals, and tie into the service provider's existing operational management and billing systems. And we have deployed all three of these globally today. Now, another thing that differentiates you with Packard is, once again, you've heard me say it over and over again, is the services aspect. That is the heart of the cloud. And we make it very easy for our customers to automate the creation of the service catalog as well as the deployment of those services. And we do that via something called Cloud Maps. And there'll be a demo of this tomorrow. What this allows you to do is to either go out to the HP website, and there's probably 50 cloud maps there that are free for download. And what it is it's a service model. It's a description of the service. What applications, what infrastructure, and how you deploy it. You can ingest this model, this description, in the cloud system, and it automatically creates your service catalog engine. So we have an example, for instance, there's a cloud map on the HP cloud system, intranet, that you can go out on, that says Microsoft Exchange 5,000 seats. Based on our combined best practices between HP and Microsoft, a customer can go out there, ingest that cloud map in the cloud system, and if they have a need for 5, they can manipulate it and change it. But they can take it directly in the cloud system, and it will automatically, at the push of one button, deploy a Microsoft Exchange 5,000 seat environment within cloud system. And we're going to make it even easier as we go forward for partners to develop cloud maps, monetize cloud maps via communities where you can trade and barter cloud maps as well. So let me take 1 minute to give you a super simple example of how this all works. So let's go back to the cloud map example. Let's say that a client architect has developed a cloud map for an ad campaign. Has determined it needs this much servers, these much storage, I hook it together with these networks, I need this application software. The next time at the end of the quarter, when the campaign manager comes in and says, I need to run the ad campaign. Doesn't need IT, doesn't need the architect, goes into the self-service portal of cloud system, sees ad campaign, pushes go. The first thing cloud system will do is it will intelligently determine where to put the application and the infrastructure. Remember, based on your business policies of performance, cost, compliance, and regulatory. It may determine that the cheapest place, the best place for performance to put the web server is actually at Amazon. And at the same time, it may determine that the database server should go internally because you've got regulatory compliance issues and you don't want to have that information off campus. So it will intelligently determine where it does. It will kick off the provisioning exercise and the application of the infrastructure will be deployed. The service will run, let's say for 2 weeks. Everybody's happy. And then at the push of a button, that campaign manager will shut down the service. The data will be scrubbed if it's off-site, and the resources will be flushed back into the shared services pool of cloud system. Very, 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 very simple. And this is reality. So once again, you see competitors out there saying, we're going to develop, we're going to give you infrastructure as a service, and we're coming out with this and that. We are well beyond that. We are delivering sophisticated cloud environments, not only for infrastructure, but platform software as a service based on this technology today and thousands of clients around the world. Bursting. So right out of the box, coming later this year, you will be able to burst from cloud system to SaaS, who is a US-based service provider. Meaning that a client will be able to go in and will be able to select and subscribe to SaaS bursting capabilities. And based on the business policies that we just talked about, if a service either runs out of resources or based on the provisioning guidelines, that cloud system will go out and request compute or storage capabilities as part of that hybrid environment. In 2012, we'll expand that bursting capabilities to a much broader set of service providers. SAVIS is considered as our lighthouse partner, our proof of concept partner. And finally, back once again, because at the end of the day, cloud is much more than just technology. It is people, it's processes, and it's technology. Do not forget the first two. If folks only focus on the technology aspects of a hybrid delivery strategy in cloud, they will be very, 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 very disappointed. The results will not meet expectations. You have to think about the organizational design. You have to think about your business processes and the standardization, and then think about the technology. And we have a full spectrum of services, from helping our clients determine and build a pragmatic approach to the cloud, stepwise, to helping them design a roadmap, to helping them transform their applications and infrastructure, and then the deployment and ultimately the support of cloud as they go forward.